Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with the cold hard hatred. I can feel the vibration. Beef in the streets, it's a new sensation. I wanna break faces on the pavement. I wanna make greatness look complacent. Adrenaline awakened, I can taste it. We can make an impact, grab and then take it. Like a disease, bring them to their knees. Don't take this thing to see. Just like a weed.
Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. I would like to welcome each and every single one of you back to the Eye of the Storm, where we sit down with the top tier professional wrestlers in and around the state of New Jersey and the country to discuss their origins, their inspirations, their goals, and many, many, many more topics. Hope you guys are having a great month of February. Plenty of more Eye of the Storms to come to you, like I've been stating. You guys made the last one with ISPW Tri-State Champion Michael Mars a great one. I thank you all for that. And now we are back here once again. Today, I am sitting down with one of the fastest rising stars in the state of New Jersey. He has been making waves in and around the Tri-State area. He is the winner of the King of ISPW tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the King of Rock, Mr. Rick Recon. How you doing today, my friend?
Fantastic. I'm doing fantastic, and I will take the shades off so everybody can see the eye, see the truth in my face.
There you go, man. There you go. We have a lot to talk about, that's for sure, man. And first off, thank you very much for taking the time. I greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your insanely busy schedule. I don't even know how you even have the time to sleep, considering all the places that you're going to in and around the state of New Jersey. But we're definitely going to talk about that today. I hope you guys and everyone watching is having a fantastic week, like I said. And we're going to get right into the festivities here. But first things first, Mr. Recon, where can everybody find you on social media?
Well, if you want to find me on social media and you're on the Book of Faces, Rick Recon will do just fine. You're on the Twitter machine, Rick Recon, the number 1. You're on the gram, Rick_Recon. That'll do just fine. You want to check out any merch online, you either come see me in person at any of my events, or if you're going to go online, prowrestlingtees.com/Rick Recon or rickrecon.com. It's all there, baby.
We got a lot of people that I'm pretty sure are going to become members of the Recon Nation sooner rather than later. But for me, everybody knows you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HistoryMakerDJS. That is at HistoryMakerDJS, both on Twitter and Instagram. You can add me on Facebook as well for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Please make sure that you like the official DJ Storms business page. And I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook, which Mr. Rick Recon is an exclusive member of, because only the elite members of the DJ Storms Posse and the elite members of the professional wrestling industry are a part of the DJ Storms Posse Facebook group. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, for sports links, because we are looking to be the absolute top brand in sports analytics. That includes Twitch, that includes Instagram, that includes Twitter, that includes YouTube. You check out all the links down below. Please go check them out. And of course, if you haven't already done so, we got ourselves a big weekend ahead of us. We got ourselves the rundown for the Elimination Chamber with Philly Sports Talk podcast. That's going to be February 16th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on a Thursday. So please set your calendar dates there. We got the Lightning Flash update coming to you guys on Saturday, February 18th, and then the rewind for the Chamber coming to you on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. on February 19th. Please go check all those out. Set your calendars, set your notifications. Hit the subscribe button if you guys are watching on YouTube, whether it be my YouTube or the Hardcore Sports YouTube channel. And, of course, hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace, because that way you're going to know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, you already know it is the best time to be on YouTube. But we're not going to waste any more time. Rick Recon, I actually want to start off with the same question I started off with at the last Eye of the Storm. And I wanted to know, for those of you, those members of the DJ Storms posse who are unaware, how did this all get started for you? Take us back through the origins of Rick Recon, if you will.
Well, Rick Recon, a lot of people have the same old story of being 5 or 6 years old with their dad watching wrestling. Wasn't really the case for me. It wasn't exactly something that was welcome in my house. Anytime it happened to be on, my mother would always change the channel because, that smut wasn't for little Ricky, or at least that was how she put it. So I didn't really find professional wrestling or become a fan till I was in high school. I was about 15, 16 years old. A buddy of mine, I went over to his house. He had Monday Night Raw on, and it happened to be, I believe, it was Jeff Hardy and John Cena, I believe, was a match that was on. And I don't know, something about it just really reeled me in. It wasn't like I had really seen much of it before or knew really what it was all about. They obviously hooked me because I'm here, I think some of the biggest wrestling fans are the guys that do it for a living. So here I am. But I didn't get started to really go down the path of wanting to do it, to really do it, until a few years later. Two of my biggest influences I have was The Undertaker. To me, I think he's the all-time greatest.
You and me both, man. You and me both.
It's no shade to anybody else, certainly, but to me, I always found that he was just overall just the best.
Yes.
Always. He drew me in the most. Another guy that is huge, he's influential on me as a performer, as far as my look in ring, would be Edge. So Taker and Edge, they had a hell of a rivalry from most of 2008, well, end of 2007, leading into 2008.
Dude, you again, you and me both. Dude, that was one of the most underrated feuds in SmackDown history. The match that got me into wrestling was Edge and Undertaker, SummerSlam, Hell in a Cell.
The one for me was Mania 24.
Oh.
The main event of Mania 24. That was the one that did it for me.
So
a lot of people
very
very underrated main event. I don't know really why, because to me it's two of the all-time best going at it. I don't know if it's a case of I feel that Edge is probably one of the most underrated workers and heels in the entire business, which is a shame because he's really good. I feel he's just getting his recognition now that he came back, because when he left for his his neck injury, I think everybody finally started to really appreciate him because he was gone. He had been there for so long, and he was such a part of WWE. I think he was just taken for granted. And then when he came back, it was like, oh man, this is the Edge. We missed this. We needed this. So, and everyone's going back and really starting to appreciate the Rated R Superstar. And I'm like, I've been doing that for years. So Edge is always one of my favorites. Those two really influenced me to want to be a professional wrestler. Now, obviously, it was years after that, because there was no real reputable schools around me. And unlike a lot of guys, and again, it's not necessarily to throw shade, but I also am. If you are going to do this for real, you need to be trained. You need to go to school. You need to do this legit. Like you can't just, I'm going to step into a ring because I saw it on TV or because of whatever. You can't. If you are untrained, then you do not take this seriously, and therefore I won't take you seriously. And I mean that for everybody. And if you take offense to that, then I'm talking about you, and the shoe is certainly going to fit. So I knew I needed to train. There really wasn't any schools around me at the time, and life just got in the way. But finally, there was a school that opened up near me. It wasn't a very big school, but I was taught properly by one of the guys that would run training there. He's an independent worker. He's wrestled all internationally. He's wrestled for the Super 8, actually. I was there when he did, too. A guy by the name of Shockwave the Robot. I don't know if you've run into him before. I feel he's another underrated guy. He's very good. So anything you see that I do in terms of my foundation and everything, how oftentimes how I carry myself in the ring, how I walk and move, everything, like the foundation came from him. So, if you don't have a good foundation, you're not gonna make it in this business. You're just not gonna make it. So I owe that to him big time. So I started out with him, and it went from there. And that was 7 years ago. So I'm 7 years in and really just starting to hit the stride. So like for anybody who's starting out and maybe is a couple years in, you need to have patience and you need to understand this is a grind. It's not going to happen overnight. There's exceptions, but most of the time those are just very exceptional people and performers, and they're put in very exceptional spots. So for the majority of people, you just have to understand this is a grind. It's patience, and a lot of times it's literally just being consistent and surviving and holding out until everybody else or most other people fall off. That's just how it is.
No, I really couldn't have put it better myself, because and that really has to do with everything nowadays. Everything can be considered a grind, because you're not just going to wake up one morning and then ultimately say, oh, hey, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be within 2 years, I'm going to be at the top. You can't do that. You can't do that. That right there is pretty much going to put you at a level in which you're not at there yet, and you're ultimately going to fall flat on your face because I'm not getting what I think I deserve within this amount of time. But it absolutely is a grind, and I really couldn't have put it better myself. Speaking of a grind, you have been everywhere, dude. You've been everywhere in and around the state of New Jersey. You got the Independent Wrestling Federation. You're a two-time IWF American champion. Then you got Titan Championship Wrestling. You won the TCW Middleweight Championship. You did mention the Super 8 tournament. You're competing in the Super 8 tournament for East Coast Wrestling Association. That's actually next month. And then you got ISPW as well. With how much that you do, how exactly do you juggle all of this? And not only juggle all of this, but you're also remaining at the top. You're in these high-profile matches for all of these promotions, and you're competing and winning championships. What's going through your mind as you're doing all of this?
You have to make it a priority. You have to build your life around it. Guys that do this as just a night away from the house or from the family or for a boys' night out, or they're hobbyists, like, that's fine if you understand that's what that is. But guys that are professionals, guys that do this for a living, or that is the goal, the ultimate goal is to make it their living or their majority of their living. Because, let's face it, like it's tough to make money these days doing anything, right? It's grind, it's a hustle. So, I'm just going to be straight. Like, even if you are a professional wrestler and you're doing well for yourself on an independent level, or even on a pro contract level, a lot of these guys have, they have side hustles, excuse me, or businesses or anything like that. It's just how it is. You need, like, wrestling is a business just like everything else. So, I mean, look at the Godfather. Godfather wrestled for WWF for years, and he's a nightclub owner. Like, that was his. And listen, man, that's the name of the game. If you do both, But you have to make this a priority. You have to build everything around it, and that does involve sacrifices. That involves giving up a lot of things that normal people do or get to do. And you have to understand, like, hey, listen, I am going to be working, Friday, Saturday, and the Friday show, it's a trip. I either got to fly or I got to drive, and you need to understand, okay, well, I got to get all my work done. I got to pack it all in, Monday through Thursday, and then you got to hit the gym, you got to train, you got to eat properly, you have to recover as best as you can. And that's tough. You have to make it a priority. You can't. And I'm going to say this. I don't know if, we're really allowed to, like, I don't tend to curse too much, but I'm going to tell you, motivation is bullshit. Discipline is better than motivation. Because a lot of times I do not feel like going to the gym. My body's beat to hell a lot of times, as you've seen the matches I've had. I mean, You saw the King of ISPW tournament. That was 3 matches in one night. That was tough. I was still in the gym Monday morning, getting it in.
And then you got the ladder match too. The ladder match at Christmas Chaos.
Exactly. Like, I felt that quite a bit afterwards. Still in the gym, still training, still in the ring, still getting better. That's the other thing, is a lot of guys, once they're in it and they're done training, they think that that's it, or you don't have to continue to sharpen your skills. You don't have to continue to grow, evolve, become better, keep up on your basics, keep up on your foundation. If you don't do that, you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt somebody else, and you're going to just waste your time and everyone else's time. But if you make this a priority, this is what you want to do, this has to be your life.
Yes.
And no, I'm not saying you need to go run away to the circus. I'm not saying you should neglect your family if you have one, but it needs to be a priority, and it needs to be your life if you are going to make this your life. Yes. So again, it's not going to happen overnight. So you want this to be your life, then you need to make it your life.
And I definitely feel as though what you just said right there, I think that right there is something that's kind of lost in 2023. Not a lot of people really want to put in that work or really want to make certain things a priority. And I don't really want to, just shit all over society, but a lot of people that they do seem like they want everything for nothing, and that's not realistic. That's not realistic. You do need to put in the work, and it's not just with the things that you love. It's the things that you don't love too, because at the end of the day, I know for a fact, since I'm an accountant, I don't want to go work out after I've been sitting in a chair all day looking at spreadsheets on a computer. I'm tired, but I get my ass up and I go work out. And I do what I need to do in order to remain in the best shape I could possibly remain in. So, we're in full agreement right there.
Absolutely, yeah. And like for myself, I'm looking also into besides pro wrestling, because again, even being at the top of my game or TV and top of the industry, again, money's money. And listen, man, stuff happens. Sometimes you get injured, and you still have to make a living. So, I myself am looking into just a new avenue as well for income. And believe me, it's something that I understand it's high. It would be a high value skill when I'm going to learn. And, something like web development. Mm-hmm. Sure, it doesn't particularly tickle my fancy, like, in terms of I'm not interested in staring at a screen forever. However, it's something that is necessary to do. And listen, God forbid something happens. God forbid you get injured doing what you love and you're passionate and you're laid up. You got to make a living, man. And no, you know, you know, you're going to go from that. And then, you know, you still have to go work out, or you have to get up really early in the morning. You need to train, you need to work out, and then you need to start your day. So you need to make sure that that gets in. And if you have kids, you need to set a good example for them. You need to set the bar high, because whether you are, you know, your dad or mom, and I'm going to include both in here, you should be that kid's hero. You should be that person that they look up to if you have kids. That's just how it is. Set the bar high. Don't set it way down here. And if you believe me, kids watch. If you, not just your own kids, but other kids, the kids that look up to you, like, you know, being, you know, a professional wrestler, if you're their hero, they look up to you. So, and they watch and they see. So you need to give your all, whether it's wrestling or your life or your job. You should give your all. And dude, sometimes you just gotta do work. And yeah, it's a societal thing. It's just what it comes down. It's not just wrestlers, it's just society in general. I don't know, man. They don't have that grind. I feel like I was just raised differently. I feel like I'm one of the last of a dying breed of people my age and in my generation. Like they're one of the last. So, you know, example is when I started training, I was one out of a class of 10 of like new guys. There was other people that were graduated, still training and everything. I was 1 out of 10. 2 weeks later, I was the last one left. So, you know, what it comes down to is, who do you want? You really want it, or are you just pretending like you want it because it looks cool because you saw it on TV?
I mean, I do think that people want that glory, but at the same point in time, I don't think they realize just how hard it can be to put in the work, and that they really underestimate how hard and how much effort it really takes to do something like that. And that could really be applied to anything if we're going to be real.
Absolutely. So if you want to look at it, and, you know, this is certainly something I'm not, you know, saying that I know I didn't come up with this. You obviously, I'm sure everybody's seen this online, but
yeah.
Picture of an iceberg, right? And you got the water.
Yeah.
Tip of it. The tip of it is the glory. And that's what everybody's seeing. No one sees the hard work, the sacrifice, the sleep, you know, no sleep, sleeping in your car.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You're traveling 5-6 hours in a car with 4 other guys to go wrestle for however much. Then you got to come back home. And because you have to make a living, you either don't sleep and you go right into work, or the most that you'll get is like 2-3 hours, you know, at best, sleep, and then still go to work and get it done, because bills don't stop. That's just how it is. So all I'm saying is, and I'll say this to any of the young guns or the other guys coming up, not that I'm a vet, but I have been doing it for 7 years. So, you know, it's not like I just started. If you need to understand what this is going to entail, and if you can't handle it, there's no shame in just stepping back and just realizing this isn't for me. I'd rather you do that than continue on for your pride's sake and basically taking someone else's spot for a guy that really wants it. You know, there is no shame in going to this. It's too much. It's too brutal. I just can't. Oh, dude, then I have a little more respect for you if you do that, to be honest. That's just me.
And you know what, that right there, and when I researched you a little bit more, and I found out that you were working all of these promotions, and that now you're looking in a career outside of wrestling, and you're also a family man yourself. That right there just boosted my respect for you tenfold, and that right there is one of the main reasons why I actually wanted to get you on the channel.
I appreciate that, man. It's tough, and a lot of times it's, you know, you need to. Believe me, I could be wrestling Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like everywhere, just about every weekend. But, you know, being a family man, you know, the goal is to obviously, you know, be at the TV. The goal is to, you know, be at the top of the industry. But, you know, and you understand you're going to sacrifice, if you get to that point, you're going to sacrifice a lot of time with your family. So I'm at that point where, yes, I am busy, but I could actually be busier. I just know how to balance it the right way, and to make sure that I'm working with places that are quality places, as opposed to just having a quantity. Because believe me, I could, but are they worth damaging my body further? Is it worth, leaving again and my son going to the door and crying because dad left? Is it worth it? Like, it has to be worth it to me. So when I go out the door, it needs to be worth it to me. So places like ISPW, worth it. Titan, worth it. Excite Wrestling in New York, worth it. Outlaw, I just worked Outlaw Wrestling on Thursday, worth it. You know what I mean? Obviously, a place like AEW, or WWE, if they came calling, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's the peak, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're working towards. So obviously, but that's when you're at the point where it's like, okay, this is the job. This is the thing. This is the living. Daddy's got to go to work. You call me Rick Daddy. Dad's got to go to work. That's just how it is. But again, you need to understand and you need to make sure that it's absolutely worth it for the sacrifice you are making for both yourself and, if you have a family, for your family.
And that right there, well, once again, I feel like, we're going around in circles, may sound like a broken record, but I think that right there is another thing that is lost in 2023. It really is. People don't really understand, and they don't realize that until they're actually in that scenario. But I want to talk about when I first laid eyes on you. I believe it was 80s WrestleCon back in 2022. And coincidentally, this year, you will be competing at 80s WrestleCon 2023, and you will be fighting for the World Championship. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I first saw you, and you stuck out with the flamboyancy, the long hair, the smirk, the sunglasses. I mean, sunglasses are part of my gimmick too. So I love the Blues Brothers sunglasses. Then you got the bedazzled belt and the leather jacket. It almost seems as if an 80s guitarist became a pro wrestler. And I mean that in the best way possible. I wanted to know, like, what are some of your inspirations for your attire? Did you get it from a band? Did you get it from a movie?
I am heavily influenced by heavy metal bands and music from the 80s, 90s, like big influences for me. Probably the biggest as far as just like on a performer's level, or because a lot of times I like to look at performers outside of wrestling. And it's nothing against wrestling, clearly, but oftentimes if you only look for inspiration within professional wrestling, it oftentimes becomes just a parody of professional wrestling or the performer that you're emulating. Obviously, we all have our influences. I have plenty of them. I named a few before. Bret Hart is a big one for me, huge for me. But as far as kind of the look, the look that I have now is actually more of myself coming out than I was when I first started. That's why if you pay attention to the stuff that I've posted, I say stuff like I'm more me than I've ever been, and that's true. It's me just very much turned up. A lot of influence I have is from the singer of Iron Maiden, Bruce Dickinson. He is an incredible performer. The way that he works crowd, the way that he dresses, this is the type of stuff you would see him wear. That's got a pretty big influence on me, to be honest, because I have a very, I don't know, something, I connect with music, specifically heavy metal and rock, probably more than I oftentimes will let on. It's stuff that got me through high school, because high school for a lot of people, high school is rough. Like all those people that loved high school, they're people that are still living in it. You know what I mean? They'd want to relive their glory days. Like the people that it was hard, like high school was hard for them. Those are the people that became successes in life. Like almost like 99 times out of 100. Those are the people that, because they had to actually work to be something. You know what I'm saying? Like high school was hard. It was tough. You know what I mean? I stuck out. I liked pro wrestling. Everybody thought it was stupid. I liked heavy metal. Everybody wanted, started to do like rap or whatever, and nothing against that or anything, but that just wasn't my bit. I can appreciate it, a bit, but this is what I like to listen to. This is what I connected with. So a lot of this, I'm very influenced by music. Sometimes you can catch little bits of song lyrics throughout my promos because they like I said, they influence me heavily. So that's really where I got my look from. And the other bit of my look was it comes from some advice that I got from another guy who helped train me is Brutal Bob Evans. Love Bob. We call him Uncle Bob. He's just a really great guy. But Bob Evans told me, he gave me some advice. He said, listen, when you come out and you portray yourself as you would at the 10-year-old you, what would they have liked to see? What would 10-year-old you want to see? What would connect with that kid? This is what it is, man. I wanted to have long hair. I wanted sunglasses. I wanted the cool leather jacket. I wanted all that. Everything you see that's basically, I became what I wanted to be. And very few people get to ever say that. Very few people ever get to become what they want to be in life, because either life just gets in the way, or they let it get in the way and they just don't follow through with their dreams. Because dreams are great. Dreams are wonderful. I have them every night, but they're just dreams if you don't act on them. You need to make dreams and turn them into goals, and you need to have steps to reach those goals. So, like I said, I have now become and have the look that I want to have, that I've wanted to have since I was a kid, since I started loving wrestling. So that's where it came from. Very long-winded way of saying it, but that's where it came from.
No, don't even apologize for that, because I feel as though I'm the same when it comes to connecting with rock and metal. If people have seen my post, I have taken lyrics from a lot of classic songs, and I have posted me in my full DJ Storms attire and all that. Obviously, people know who I am outside of that persona, but I've also taken plenty of inspirations outside of that. You did mention rock and metal. If I could ask, what is your favorite song? Just a little side question right there. If you had to make the choice, number one overall.
Man, that's probably the hardest question, man.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but it came up.
I mean, that's like choosing what's your favorite kid for me, man.
At least give me top three then. How about that?
It would have. I mean, the top three are probably going to be from Iron Maiden anyway, personally, but that's just my personal bit, because Iron Maiden was something I connected with big time when I was about 10 or 11. It was probably the first metal band I got to hear. It's my all-time favorite band. It's a band that me and my dad, who has always been a really big supporter of me in wrestling, that's probably his favorite band, or certainly one of them. So basically, you could probably do hit shuffle on an Iron Maiden playlist, and you'll end up with a top three for me. It's really hard to pick them out. It's probably a question I can't really answer. I would actually have to sit there. I could list off my top 5 personal pro wrestling favorites like that. You know what I'm saying? But from music, that's tough, man. That's how much I love it. So that's how much I connect with it. It's really hard to pick it out. But I would definitely say you could probably take the album A Matter of Life and Death from Iron Maiden and pick 3 out of that, because to me, and it's a very underrated album. Like everybody chooses like Power Slave, Peace of Mind, and all that. And dude, those are timeless albums, believe me. But some of their newer stuff, man, that I don't know, it just hits real different, man. It just hits real different. So yeah, I mean, basically the playlist on a car ride is going to be a lot of Maiden and, you know, sprinkling other metal in there. You know, obviously Metallica's, you know, another one, Judas Priest, Megadeth, and anything like that. Though I will say there's a band that I've been kind of digging lately, a little more lately than that I did before. I hadn't really listened to them very much. Band Falling in Reverse.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that.
I don't know, man. They have a very unique blend of music. Like, you know, yeah, it's something else, man. That their singer Ronnie there, he's something,
dude,
man.
Fantastic. He's fantastic.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Probably the metal song. I think the song that just came out.
Watch the World Burn.
Yes, Watch the World Burn.
I saw your Instagram post about that.
That is probably I'm gonna call it now. So if you want to, like, I don't know, shut it now. But that's probably gonna be the metal song of 2023, and we're only into February. So I think that's really gonna be a big song, honestly. Hey man, listen, I don't tend to do too much of those reaction posts to anything. I just don't really do that.
Man, more of those, man. I love them. I love them.
Well, I might jump on that, because again, that shows how much I love it. That's that side of me. So I might actually do that. But the point is if I jump on something like that and do that means like I'm really feeling it. So, you know, that's so big props to the band singer, and it was good.
I honestly think that I think you may be right. I think that may be the metal song of 2023, and that actually it almost corresponds with the same thing that they did last year with Zombified. Because oh my god, like there was a point in time over the course of the last few months, I was listening to that song on repeat throughout my entire ride to work every single morning for about 2 months, because it was just so good. And the fact that it was not just good, but it was also so truthful as well. It was so truthful to how society is nowadays as well, and how they just constantly cancel anything that goes against the normal grain of society. And that's probably one of the biggest inspirations to me when it comes to music. It has to really mean something, and it really has to, you know, express an underlying truth that not a lot of people really want to acknowledge nowadays. So I really think that you're right. I think that that's going to be the rock song of 2023. And of course, along with music, obviously you got some great movies as well. I love music and I love movies. One of my the favorite movie that I have, the greatest movie of all time for me, is The Blues Brothers, which is where I get the shades from. Another little side question right here. What is your favorite movie, if I may ask? I see if that's a little easier for you.
Well, yeah, that probably is easier, honestly. And it might be an odd answer in a sense, because it's actually 3 movies, but it's 3 movies you can't have with one without the other. It literally is one big long story broken up into 3 movies, because you couldn't put it as one movie. There's no way you could release it like that. I don't know, and this one might come out of left field, maybe it isn't, but is Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh man,
immaculate. I pray to whatever gods there are that no one ever has the balls or the stupidity actually to remake. You will never ever touch them. You will never touch those. I'm sorry. Like, and I mean, the Hobbit trilogy, I could have kind of done without. Like, it wasn't bad. They really could have just stuck with one movie and it would have been great. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy extended version, I can't speak highly enough of that. I haven't watched them in a while.
Thing, man, that battle scene with the horses and the elephants, that right there was one of the movie scenes of my childhood. It was that and the Blues Brothers police car scene.
That listen, that scene is why they won all those Academy Awards for that movie, for Return of the King, because
Good.
that
Good.
scene alone, it's fantastic movies. They're just I remember when they came out, because obviously, you know, it was funny because I was 11, 12, and 13 when they came out, so 2001,
Wow.
2, 3, and believe me, there's plenty of movies I love, man. There's plenty of movies that have come out since then, or, you know, go back and watch movies, and they're fantastic, you know, obviously, but nothing from me personally, because I grew up reading the books, so nothing could really touch those movies. Though I will say that another absolute favorite of mine, I could probably watch it on repeat, because to me it was probably the perfect action movie, Terminator 2. They could have just stopped the whole thing right there, Terminator 2, and it would have been that would have been it.
Perfect.
Why touch greatness? Terminator 2, man, was phenomenal movie. I could watch it on repeat.
And it's crazy that you mentioned that, because like when you got that stern face with the shades on, you almost kind of look a little bit like the Terminator. You got the Terminator face on. But one thing that you mentioned earlier, before we got a little sidetracked there, you mentioned how now in your career, you're really starting to be a little bit more of yourself. Like, you're really starting to hit your stride and everything. Would you say that's probably the biggest difference between Rick Recon then and Rick Recon now, or is there something else there?
I think it's a case, yes. I think that's really what it is. When you get to tap into yourself personally, you really get to open, you know, come out of whatever shell that you've made. Because a lot of times guys they'll have a character, and it may be like it either doesn't fit them, or it's just not, something's not hitting, man. It's not as organic as if you were with either the right gimmick or you get to be yourself. Because there's some guys where their gimmicks are fantastic, man, and they work it, and they're actually nothing like their gimmick in a sense. But there's other guys where, and it's all dependent upon the individual, there's other guys where they have to really tap into themselves a little more and to make themselves a little more believable, connect with people. Because oddly enough, I did take a lot of influence from the Terminator in my previous gimmick. I don't even want to say it was like super much of a gimmick, but I took a lot of inspiration from it. But something just, I feel it just wasn't connecting and wasn't fully myself. And, you know, I mean, let's be honest, if you're a Terminator, it's hard for you to then express emotion if you're getting into that. And the currency of this business and this industry is emotion. It just is. Like,
yes,
if you don't have a crowd invested into what you do, what you're saying, then they're not going to come back. They're not going to get on board the train, as it were, and eventually you're just going to fall off. And honestly, a lot of it was I was feeling pretty stale. And if I feel stale, then the crowd definitely feels it. It's just how it is. So I just felt I needed something to I needed to feel like I needed to reinvent myself. And the odd thing is I really didn't need to reinvent myself per se. I needed to just be myself more, is really what it was. And a lot of that came when I got to work with ISPW. It was, you know, Tommy Fierro. He gave me a shot, and he said, "You got something," and let's try to figure out what it is. Because he's like, I see something. You don't. It's like you got all the pieces, but they're not together. They're kind of like this. Like something is just not fully fitting properly. And over the course of the shows that I continued to work on, you know, he kept giving me notes, pointers, like, you did this well, maybe try not to do that so much, bring this out of you a little more. And so a lot of that, and then obviously, you know, on top of that, getting pointers, then you know, when you have that advice and you get that feedback, and you get that feedback from him, from guys like, you know, also guys like Danny Morrison and Bull James, you know, Crowbar, all those guys that are in the back, and they're giving you your advice because you're asking them, or they just want to give pointers because they want to see these guys, you know, the next generation succeed. Then you take that advice and you go apply it in matches, and not just there, but, you know, I would sit there and I would apply it to all the opportunities that Titan Championship Wrestling gave me. You know, I had a hell of a run as middleweight champion, about 10 months. And I was taking all the advice that I was getting from everyone in the business, all the real ones, the vets, the guys that really understood it, and they were all giving feedback. And, you know, obviously different guys would have different opinions on things, and I would listen to everybody and I would take it all and kind of mesh it together. And now this is where I'm at. I understand who I am, what I can do. I have the confidence to do those things and to get things done. That's the difference, is I know who I am. I know what I can do. I understand what I bring to the table. Now I'm pulling the seat up to the table. That's the difference.
And that right there, I was actually going to transition into your ISPW run next. And like I said, when I first saw you, you know, you just stuck out to me with the whole persona and the charisma and the attire. And your ISPW run, it was a little bit of a roller coaster right in the beginning. You made your debut in January of 2022, and you were up and you're down. You won and you lost. But the last 4 months of 2022 going into 2023, I would say, is where your stock, it really started to rise. Your performances in the ring were getting better, and you were winning more matches. And now you're fighting some of the biggest stars in the industry right now. You're actually just coming off a huge win against Enzo Amore, aka Real One, back at Winter Warfare. And then coming up on Friday, February 17th, at St. Valentine's Vengeance for ISPW in Avenal, you're fighting who I consider to be one of the greatest of all time, and that is Crowbar. Then you got Tommy Dreamer coming up on March 11th. Then you got whoever the world champion is coming up on May 6th in the Menin Arena at 80s WrestleCon. So I wanted to know, what do these matches really mean to you after all these months of hard work and paying your dues? What do they really mean to you?
It's validation for everything that I've done in the previous 6 to 7 years. These are guys that I grew up watching. These are guys that I saw on TV. These are guys that, like, when you get into it, you're hoping you get to share a ring with them, but, like, you don't, let's be real, you don't really think it's going to happen. But then you get in the ring with, or you have the opportunity, you're scheduled to face a guy like Tommy Dreamer, and you're like, this is Tommy Dreamer, man. This is former ECW champion. This is the Tommy Dreamer, man. Like, it's not just, it's Tommy Dreamer. No, it's the Tommy Dreamer, man. Like, you got to understand what that means. Like, to guys that love ECW, guys that grew up watching all these guys, like, just absolutely kill it for decades. And especially from this area, like, let's be honest. Like, I'm sorry, ECW holds such a place in fans and wrestlers' hearts in this area specifically, because Northeast, this is where it was at, like, most of the time. Like, I'm sorry, like, you could probably go to California and, yeah, you'll have some ECW fans, I'm sure, but those are the guys that just watched on TV. Like, we're talking about ECW. Like, this was
they were there live in attendance over here.
This was our promotion. This was the little dog in the fight that was like, well, we're gonna fight to the bitter end. This is ECW. So when I've been in the ring with, Danny Morrison, formerly Danny Doring. Like, this was the ECW Tag Team Champion. I've been in the ring with him twice. and I beat him to become king of ISPW. Like, that is right there. That's huge for a guy like me. And and then you're scheduled to face Tommy Dreamer, like, who is a huge part of Impact Wrestling now, both on screen and off screen, and that's tremendous. And then you went from being kind of like on the undercard of 80s Wrestling Con to you're the main event against whoever the champion is, and obviously at this point it's Bull James, who is former NXT star, and he's on a absolute tear right now, in ISPW. And you think about the lineage of the ISPW championship, all the guys that have held it, like Ace Darling and Samu and Chris Candido. Like, this is a list, man. This isn't just a heavyweight championship. This is like a serious independent heavyweight championship, and then you have it might not be like a name, but there obviously, if you're the main event of anything, like that's a big deal. Main event and going for the heavyweight championship and Titan Championship Wrestling, like, it's and obviously it doesn't have the lineage that ISPW has, but like it's big, and when you get to that point of being, okay, you are the main event, you have no time limit, man. You go do your thing. That's huge. You don't feel like you got 6 minutes, man. You're not held to that, or whatever. Like, and it's not a knock on that. Like, believe me, when you have opportunity, you take it and you make the most of it. But when you are the main event, you are what we're putting our show around. It's all building to you and your opponent as the main event. That is what we all work for. It's what we all work for, man. That is, like, it's you've paid your dues, and of course you continue to pay your dues throughout your entire career. That's just how it is. You don't stop paying. But you are paying your dues. You have put in the work. You have busted your ass. You listened to everybody who gave you advice. You became an asset to the promotion. You became an asset to the people that you're working with. You connected with the fans, and they believe that you can be the guy, or that you're in that conversation. That is literally what you kill yourself for, and you sacrifice everything for. So when you have that, don't take it for granted, because there are people that take that for granted. Don't take it for granted, because I certainly won't. If you're going to take that spot for granted, then I'm going to take it from you. That's how I feel. And I don't tend to raise my voice a whole lot and get really pissed off, but I get really pissed off at people that don't appreciate that type of a spot and don't appreciate and give everything when you are the main event.
No, absolutely. I mean, even the little things like that, people don't seem to appreciate. Again, I'll go back to when Crowbar, who you will be facing, actually offered me a spot to commentate for one of his events. And on the inside, like, I couldn't even process what I was doing. And from that point on, I was sitting right there in the commentary booth, calling all of these matches. And I didn't even know how I could possibly repay that man for what he did for me. And I was trying to contemplate to myself when he was going over to my table, because he was going to take my chair and he was going to start beating over Vargas with it. Shout out to Vargas. And I'm like, holy shit, this is really Crowbar. He's taking my seat. I'm the commentator, and he's going to beat Vargas over the head with it. It's all the little things, whether it be the main event or the undercard, that should always be appreciated, because you have worked hard enough to make it this far. Now it's time to go to the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's then the biggest thing is live in the moment and appreciate the moments that you have, because you only have so many, and you never ever take them for granted, because they can be taken away like that.
Yes.
Be taken away like that, man. Like,
nothing's ever promised. Nothing's ever promised. Life is fragile.
And in this business, everything that you get is earned. There's no such thing as until you've really put in the time. And again, it comes back to earning it. There's no such thing as deserving in this business. You've earned it, and then you get what you've earned, and you earn it, and then you deserve it. That's just how this works. Like,
Yes.
again, take nothing for granted. Be thankful, be grateful. I can be a real cocky SOB. I really can. I can be super obnoxious. I get it. And I'm sure, like, wow, he's probably a real obnoxious guy. And sometimes I can be, I'll admit it, because I'm very passionate about the things I love. So sometimes it might come across as obnoxious, or I have confidence in myself, so that comes across as cocky. Well, so be it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's, but the things that you, if you love it, like you need to put your all into it, and you need to appreciate it. You need to appreciate it. So this business and being in it and performing and all that, like, it's something that I feel like because before, I don't know if I really felt like I was meant to do it. I had my own doubts. Everybody has them. And I'll be real about that. Everybody will, put up the wall, or, oh, I know I was going to make it. No. I can tell you right now, people that say that, they're lying. Like, everyone has their doubts. Everyone thinks at some time, maybe this isn't really worth it. I don't know. Maybe I should just call it a day. Maybe I should just quit. We've all been there. We've all been. So, maybe I'm blowing up the back by saying that, but I could tell you everybody has always thought that at some point in their career. So again, when you get the opportunity to do the things that I've been able to do, or work with the people I'm able to work with, or to, heck, I'll bring it back to the match next week, when you're able to stand across the ring from one of your heroes, a guy who is the measuring stick. To be honest, he is the measuring stick of all the young lions, especially in the Northeast, East Coast. Man, listen, Crowbar is the measuring stick and the bar, and he has set it super, super high. He really has. So he wants to face all the young lions, guys like myself, and all he says is, meet me at my level. And there's some guys that just can't. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to make damn sure that I'm at that level. I know I can meet him at that level, because it's something I've wanted for a long time. So again, it's an opportunity that doesn't come along very often. So when you take it, when you get that opportunity, you better take it. You better take it. You better hold on to it and say, this is mine. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say, this is mine, and I'm going to hold on to it, and no one's taking it from me.
And that right there is one of the main things that you need when it comes to this business. You need that passion, because if you don't have passion, then you're really not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere if you don't have enough passion for it, and you really don't put your mind to it, and you do not have that mindset of, I plan on being the best, and because I love this so much, you're not going anywhere. But we talked about the future. I actually want to take a little dip into the past now, because you've competed in quite a plethora of matches throughout the course of your career. Thus far, I understand it may be a hard question for you, but what do you feel has been the match that has really stuck out to you? What do you feel has been your best match to date?
Best match to date. Yeah, that is another hard question.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. It's
been, there's been so many of them. There's been so many. I will say there is one, I can't even say match, because it was a rivalry with a guy that now I'm allied with at Titan Championship Wrestling, and going to be other promotions as well that we're gonna come into. But the rivalry I had with Blaze Haram, we've had about 15 different matches at this point, all kinds of different stipulations and everything. But those matches were very physically very taxing. They took a toll on me. I still have things I still feel to this day after them, but they really, I feel like kind of in this area, it kind of started a bit of a buzz because before, like I had some, I had good matches and stuff and everything, but it was like that kind of started people kind of to like
open their eyes to you
a little bit. Yeah, it started to open eyes. Like, okay, this guy can really go. He can put in, he can put in the work. He's kind of starting to, because anytime you make any sort of noise in the business, it's hardly ever just a big boom immediately. A lot of times it's bubbling under the surface. You need to start the noise and then gradually bring it up. So I feel like kind of started it. And then I went from there to wrestling quite a few times with a guy, Nikos Rikos. And the match I had where I won the middleweight championship, TCW middleweight championship, 2 out of 3 falls match. That match, I would definitely put that in my top 3 if I had to, choose out of matches. I'm definitely putting that in top 3. It was 37 minutes we went. That match was physically brutal. But that match, it was all the work and everything I put into that. And obviously it paid off with the championship. And Nikos is no joke in the ring. When you're in there with him, you gotta go, man. You gotta. It's a fight. It really is. And that match, I feel that match got people paying attention in New Jersey, and I think got some attention from the offices of ISPW, and like, okay, this guy's got a cool look. He's got a good look. He's got he's got some people vouching for him. He obviously, he can work hard, and this, again, the match kind of was making its rounds, and
please send it to me. I want to watch it. Please do.
I'll send it to you. It's a good one. I'd be heck if I had it now. If I had that same match now, it'd be even better. But no, it was a really good match. That's definitely a big one for me. Definitely say that's an up there match. It's a match that hasn't even happened, but I can tell you right now, the match that I'm gonna have with Crowbar, it's probably gonna be.
I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting with bated breath.
It's probably gonna be right up there. I can almost see it. And I'd actually say another one, and I might send this one to you as well. This was a match that actually Homicide watched. He wasn't on the event, but he came by and he watched, because his boy Steve Mack was there. We all know Steve Mack, brother. But Homicide watched me and Anthony Gangone in the main event. Back in January, and at TCW, and he said that was probably the best I've seen from both of you. And he's seen Gangone about a million times. Like, they work on several different events together. And he said that something about you two together, man. You just go at it, and that's a match. That match was like, okay, I'm in the main event. And that was the match to close. Because listen, I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen cards where they had a match that was like kind of in the mid-card or maybe before intermission or something, and you were like, wow, that was a fantastic match. That probably should have finished the show. That should have been the main event. It's always good when you're the main event and everyone goes, yep, that's why that was the main event. And that's what I felt like.
Yes.
That's what I felt like right there on that night. That was Gangone is dude, he's something else. I tell you what, he really is. Like, in the ring, he's something else, man. So those are some matches right there, I would say, big time. I mean, heck, I've had some serious matches at ISPW too. It was an underrated match, or not. I don't want to say underrated, but a match that was like, wow, that was a really good match. I had with TJ Epics That kid is.
That was Slamoween. I wasn't even there. Please send that to me if you can, man.
Yeah,
I wanted to watch that match.
I gotta try to find that one because I don't. I think somebody reported it. But it was that was a really good one actually. He really he puts it all out there, and I always appreciate.
Fantastic.
And I always appreciate when guys put it all out there like that, man. I do. I really do. Obviously, I got the W. Come on, I was gonna get the W. But that's my cockiness kicking in. But he's got something. I think if he really sticks with it and makes a lot of the right choices, he's gonna be something in this business. You know what I mean? I really do. He might even be the guy that kind of takes my place as I keep on going up. He might be the that guy. Those guys. Those are the guys that you're going to build your companies around. So,
and that right there, it really is a beautiful thing to see. Hopefully, maybe down the line, maybe we see a rematch between the two of you this time for the world championship. That right there would really be some validation for the both of you.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure there's a rematch that will happen at some point. But yes, if it was for the world title, that would be something really special because it would be the quote unquote current or next generation of guys that are come up, and it's like okay, obviously all the hopes and dreams and all the work that the vets in the previous generation have put into guys like me and him, are like they were validated. Like I talk about validation, and that's like, basically I just want to live up to what they hope for us because they see us and see, oh man, these guys are so good. They have so much potential. These guys are the next generation. Well, we're just trying to live up to it.
Now
it's hard. Trying to live up to it, you know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that right there, it almost reminds me of a match that happened a couple months back at Winter is Coming. It reminds me of MJF and Ricky Starks because those two are easily two guys that AEW is going to build their company around. MJF, they're already building their company around, and then you got Ricky Starks, who's currently in a program with Chris Jericho right now. They main evented Winter is Coming. They went 19 minutes for the World Championship. And that right there, it almost parallels a potential matchup for the world title between you and TJ Epics, two guys that are going to be a couple of pillars for the ISPW company this year and moving forward. But I'll end it with this. We'll end with this question, and it may seem a little broad, but I want to know, what can we all expect from Rick Recon in the near future?
I think you are going to expect the biggest year so far. And I know everyone says, oh, this is my year. I'm not saying this is my year because I'm not somebody that uses cliches or says what everyone else does. All I'm going to say is you best pay attention and you best watch. 2022, believe me, I said it on my New Year's Eve announcement, announcing myself for the world title match at 80s Wrestling Con and for the Super 8. I said it. 2022 was a fantastic year, and it really was. A lot of awesome things happened, but 2023, man, 2023 is one of the. I think is going to be one of those years that I look back on and go, that was the year that really started it all, that really got it going. 2022 will be one of those ones you just kind of 2023 will be one of those ones you just kind of look back and go, dude, I did all that. Yeah, man, you did all that.
I mean, you're already starting it off in the best possible way.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like I'm starting it off like that. So it's like, man, how am I going to end it? I'm going to go with this because this is the start. Wow, that's something else, man.
It's certainly going to be a fun thing to watch because probably one of the best things about pro wrestling for me is seeing a guy that you don't really know too much about, and he was there was something there, but he really wasn't hitting the stride back then, and seeing the journey from virtually nothing to being at the top of his game, being in the main event, winning all of these championships. That right there is probably one of the best things about professional wrestling as a whole, seeing someone come up through the ranks, knowing that you were there for the journey since the very beginning, and seeing, my God, did he exceed everyone's expectations? And that right there is what I'm feeling is going to happen with you by the end of this year.
Nah, dude, I really appreciate that, man. That's always the goal, is to live up to and exceed people's expectations. And you know what? Also to prove, and these are very few. This isn't the majority of people. The majority of people are like, dude, we just want to see you do the absolute best and absolutely succeed. You're going to have those people. You're going to have your doubters. If you have doubters, you know what? If you have doubters, you're doing it right.
Yep.
That's how I feel. If you have doubters, you're doing it right. Because everyone is going to be doubted. That's just how it is. And if you have them, and I feel sometimes the more of them you have, the more you're on the right track. So I'm motivated to live up to and exceed expectations of the people that are there, that are in my corner, that have my back. I'm also motivated to prove a whole plethora of people wrong. You know, people that, you know, just they know who they are. They know who they are. There's the ones that I appreciate, the ones that are at least outwardly that are just straight up doubters. Then, you know, I'll take that over the people that are like, hey, I'm just trying to help you, man. Okay, you're not. I see it, but okay, that's cool, buddy. All right, I'll store that away in the gray matter files and way in the back here. So, but yeah, that's enough. That's enough shade for today. We're all about the good and positivity.
I'm trying to be professional here at least, but
you're gonna be the professional here.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of the Eye of the Storm. Rick Recon, you're doing some fantastic work. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for you. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and answer these questions, man. And good luck in Avenal. I know that you're going to kill it, and I know that you're going to continue to raise your stock with each and every single passing match.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate coming on, man. Thank you for having me.
One more time, where can we find you on social media?
Twitter, Rick Recon 1. Instagram, Rick_Recon. Facebook, Rick Recon.
You already know where you can find me on social media, ladies and gents. Check out all the links in the description, as well as the links to Rick Recon's social medias. But I am DJ Storms. He is Rick Recon. This has been the Eye of the Storm. But before we get out of here, there is a universal question that everybody must answer. Rick Recon, who runs the IWC?
You know exactly who it is, brother. The name is right there, DJ Storms.
Damn right, baby. Who but DJ Storms? And I will catch you guys for the rundown for